And now, Knock 2 Studios presents Censored.
If we actually achieved net zero, at least 50% of the population would die of hunger and disease. And no doubt about it, because just one thing, which is nitrogen-based fertilizer, at least 50% of the population depends on nitrogen fertilizer for its existence today. There's no doubt about that. And there's people trying to ban it. And Netherlands and Sri Lanka have already made these kind of moves. And so it is truly a death wish in disguise. And the disguise is to save the earth, which doesn't need saving particularly.
A death wish in disguise. Kind of sounds like the road to hell being paved with good intentions. What's up, everybody, and welcome back to Censored. I'm Lord Sterling, and we're broadcasting live from Castle Sterling on the Sound, deep behind enemy lines in Blue, Connecticut. FEMA region numero uno. Thanks for being here with us today. Yeah, I forgot to unmute myself right at the beginning. This is episode 146, and I'm back after having taken last night off to go hang out with the Ancient Aliens people. Not really hang out with them, but went to Ancient Aliens Live over in Torrington, Connecticut. It was great. It was cool. A bunch of good people from the show were there, and got to hang out with a bunch of people that I know from the scene from Megalith America 2012, Glastonbury. Shout out to everybody that was hanging out last night. Good to see you guys. Let's jump into Threeper's quote of the day, and then we'll finish up with the house cleaning type stuff. A particularly poignant quote: "Charity, if you have the means, is a personal choice, but charity which is expected or compelled is simply a polite word for slavery. They're funding our own destruction, sucking carbon dioxide out of the atmosphere to kill half of us knowingly, like the founder of Greenpeace said a second ago, and they're enslaving us to do it by taking our money for the charity of the world, the charity of humanity." And this is something that they're always doing, taking our money to use for charity, enslaving us for the benefit of Ukraine or for Israel or for any country out there, you name it. All of the hundreds of billions of dollars that we've sent overseas, tens of billions to Iran, even 80 billion lost to Afghanistan in gear. It's just crazy. And we're the ones on the hook for it. So we are enslaved through the income tax, which you volunteer to pay. And they take your money. How are we going to ever solve it? This sounds like a job for Superman. Ha ha ha. You guys ever hear the old Superman radio show back in the day? Back in the 20s, I don't know if you guys remember. You remember it with Bud Collyer playing Superman? That was like one of his trademark things that he would do, is he would have one voice for Clark Kent and one for Superman. So when he would do the transition to pulling off the shirt, it's just a radio show. He had to illustrate that somehow vocally. So he would go, "This sounds like a job for Superman." Lots of fun. Lots of fun. Make sure to join us Monday through Friday, 6:30-ish p.m. Central, to cover all the clown world chaos. This is Censored. Make sure to use the hashtag Censored when you share the show on X, where you can find us at _Censored. I'm sure. Surprised. Links to all of the content and everything we cover will be in the description after the show. So if you guys are watching this later and need to focus your attention and time effectively, click that description button down there, and you'll see all the articles and everything that we cover. Mama Mac's adding the timestamps. Thanks, Mama Mac, for that. And make sure to also check out alpllama.com, your new herbal health guru, the official, unofficial sponsor of the show. Thanks, Mama Mac, for your help again. Check out Alp Llama for all of your herbal tincture needs, remedying all of your ailments. If you've got something going on, there's a potion for it. Ask Mama Mac and crew. They'll help you out. If you want to support the show, you can also head over to commoncensored.locals.com or hit that big, beautiful join button or Rumble Rant. As we're going, that's a perfectly good way to do it as well. And you can pick up copies of our books, Common Censored, our eponymous title, where we redacted Thomas Paine's masterwork, Common Sense. We also have the unredacted version available, Common Sense, first edition revived, over on Amazon Prime. Thanks for supporting the show. Disclaimer. Views expressed on Common Censored are only opinions. Assume everything we say is false and research for yourself. We're not giving medical, legal, or financial advice. The only advice we are giving is think for yourself. Question authority. Think for yourself. Question authority. Boom! All right, let's jump into the news. As usual, all kinds of crazy stuff going on. That was indeed the Greenpeace founder that you guys saw at the beginning, which was posted just moments ago. Reposted, I guess, by Alex Jones. Beyond key to understand that net zero would kill at least 50% of the population. That was Dr. Patrick Moore saying that, the co-founder of Greenpeace. Not to be confused with Steve Watson. Or no, Paul Watson, right? Captain Paul Watson, who was one of the other founders of Greenpeace, who broke off and was doing the whale wars thing. Paul Watson, not to be confused with Paul Joseph Watson, who's the InfoWars writer. It's all coming full circle here somehow. Oh man, it's Friday, guys. Let's do it. What do we got? Let's start off with some good news. We've got a SCOTUS win. Arizona Supreme Court overrules sanctions and attorney fees against Arizona GOP for questioning the 2020 election. That's good. So the Supreme Court is saying, wait a second. You're sanctioning these attorneys just for following the typical procedure that's part of standard operating SOP, for American jurisprudence, where if you think something's sketchy about going on with an election, you can look into it. You think that's a sanctionable offense? So this is good. We got the Supreme Court stepping in here. This could be a good precedent for the alternate electors, potentially, as well, who are being charged criminally in Michigan and Georgia and potentially elsewhere. I can't remember all the places. There's so much news, it's all kind of a blur at some point. Slurp. In a unanimous ruling, the Arizona Supreme Court ruled on Thursday that Maricopa County Superior Court and Arizona Court of Appeals wrongfully sanctioned the Arizona party in awarding attorney fees against them over a lawsuit challenging Maricopa County's post-election hand count audit procedures. Quote, "We hold that the attorney fees award was improper because the petitioner's claim was not groundless, thus obviating any need to determine whether the claim was made in the absence of good faith." Justice John Lopez writes in the court's opinion. So Arizona Supreme Court we're talking about here. During times of social and political contention and strife, we must be mindful that our courts provide a means of resolving such conflicts when issues are legitimately presented. And, oh man. So they're at least recognizing that there was a good, an actual underlying issue, which is something that we need the actual Supreme Court to do as well. The United States Supreme Court, they've been neglecting to even issue any opinions on any of this stuff, refusing to hear cases on lack of standing, etc. It's a bunch of BS. By sanctioning parties and their lawyers for bringing debatable, long-shot complaints, Courts risk chilling legal advocacy, the chilling effect, preventing others from engaging in legitimate First Amendment questioning the elections, and citizens raising questions under the guise of defending rule of law. Even if done inadvertently and with the best of intentions, such sanctions present a real and present danger to the rule of law. The ruling also states another example of hell, the road to hell being paved with good intentions. Salivate Metal. Not familiar with them, Threeper. I'm going to have to check it out.
This is madness.
Not this story, but just everything is madness in general right now. Okay, so this is pretty good. Arizona Mirror reports the lawsuit was filed more than a week after the 2020 election and argued that the state law requiring limited post-election hand count audits conflicted with the state's elections procedures manual, making it illegal to select ballots for the audit from voting centers instead of by precinct. If you guys want to read the rest of the details, the article will be linked in the description. Victory in court. Killer. Good news. We're going to keep moving because there's just tons of stuff to talk about. As usual, let's hop over to our next topic for the day. We've got an interesting story here. And listen to the mystique and intrigue that Jeremy elicits at the beginning here, refusing to even name the individual. I don't know. Are we allowed to say his name? On YouTube, Elon Musk just risked it all with this unban. We are about to witness the biggest free speech battle. Jeremy pumping this issue. Let's check out what's going on.
Well, this is going to get extremely interesting. Elon Musk just agreed to unban perhaps the second most banned individual on the planet. I guess now that Alex has been reinstated, probably the most banned individual on the planet. Let me lay this out first. This is a huge risk for Elon Musk. That doesn't mean I don't support it. It will paint a gigantic target on his back. That doesn't mean he doesn't already have that. What it is going to do, though, is it's going to show you every barrel that they have. When I talk about they, I mean the censorship industrial complex. This is a wild exchange. And, this is a guy who, even mentioning his name on, like YouTube or, a big tech platform will get your video buried far, far below. That doesn't mean everything he says is right. It doesn't mean everything he says is wrong. Like most people who aren't psychopaths, I just either watch content or I don't. It doesn't bother me if it exists. I think everyone has a First Amendment right to freedom of speech.
Ding, ding, ding. Even if you disagree, let's find out what's going on. Goya Bean Groiper over here on X at Senor Fuentes. That's not his actual at. I don't know if I'm allowed to say his name, so I'm not. Until we get off YouTube, I'll avoid saying his name, but you can look on screen here. His last name is Fuentes, and his first name rhymes with dick. Goya Bean Groiper says, bring Mr. Fuentes back on X on Twitter, and let's see what Elon responds with.
Philo-Semitic, and generally try to see the good in all people. So then you can see, here's another fan of Nick. Obviously, you can usually recognize them very easily. Bring Nick back to Twitter. He's been banned since 2021. What happened to your promise, big guy? And that's
a good point. Elon Musk said there was going to be amnesty for everybody who was banned. Blanket amnesty on X. And did he do that? No, he did not. Eventually, he said, damn the advertisers, though. GFY, remember? Hi, Bob. And he brought back Alex, which was the most dangerous one, but this may be the second biggest one. We saw how the Israeli donors threatened to pull hundreds of millions from Harvard funding when they were keeping Claudine Gay as their president. And Groiper, the leader of the Groipers over here, is one of the big voices against that whole lobby and group. So this is a big test for X, bringing back Senor Fuentes. We'll see how he does financially, how the platform does financially after this. Will advertisers boycott? Interesting to see, to ponder. Let's continue here for a minute.
It is true. Elon did say that he would unban everybody as long as they weren't breaking the law. Now, that is not something he's done. There's a lot of accounts that never were unsuspended, many of which were smaller accounts. But that doesn't mean that he shouldn't have unbanned them. They deserve to be unbanned.
I see some of the chat is not familiar with Mr. Fuentes, Senor Fuentes. He's an outspoken critic of the Zionism, the Zionists. I think he may be a little bit more explicit about it, but he's very controversial. People like Robert Barnes say he's a giant grifter. Some people love him, some people hate him. I think a lot of people hate the Groypers in general. I've never really listened to him much. I saw him appear. Was he with Kanye? He was hanging out with Kanye when Kanye showed up on, or Ye, sorry. When Ye showed up on Alex Jones' show, I think he showed up with Senor Fuentes and with Milo Yiannopoulos, if I remember correctly. Or maybe that was on Timcast. Yeah, that might have been on Timcast. But, remember Kanye said that Zionism and that the group of the cabal allegedly was interfering with his business operations, blackballing him, debanking him, kind of stuff, etc., taking his money away. And he was hanging out with Fuentes at the time, and people thought that Fuentes was having an influence on him and everything. How long does it take to flip a light switch? It remembers a very short amount of time. It just remembers. It depends on if you remember to flip the light switch. If I could talk, that might help as well. Let's continue for a minute here, and before we move on to our next story, this is going to be interesting business-wise for X.
Unbanned too. It's just, you shouldn't only look at these accounts with 50,000 followers and say, well, that's who should get unbanned. I mean, they should. But the guy with 0 followers who's using Twitter for 5 years and got banned for liking a meme or whatever, they deserve to come back too.
Blanket amnesty.
So Elon said, very well, he will be reinstated, provided he does not violate the law, and let him be crushed by the comments and community notes. I think Elon's going to be surprised just how much support he probably has. It's better to have anti-whatever out in the open.
Sorry, Thurper.
To be rebutted than grow simmering in the darkness. Or, said another way, the best disinfectant is sunlight. To which Ashley St. Clair, who has Elon's ear, replies, this will get enormous backlash. But if it's to be a free speech platform, it's the right move. I say this as someone who's
he's banned from everything too, basically,
by his followers for years now.
And there was like controversy about potential supportive P-word stuff, and I don't know, various things. pretty crazy.
I believe Nick was also incredibly radicalized as a result of censorship. That's probably, well, I don't know about, I could say censorship does.
Well, if you're saying there's a group of people out there who are in a shadowy cabal based on their ethnicity, and they're censoring people and shutting down people and blacking people out from the industries, various industries, and then you get fully censored and blocked from everything. If you are of a conspiratorial type of mindset, you could be like, this confirms everything that I was saying. They're censoring me. They're coming after me. It's not paranoia if they're really after you. You know what I mean?
Have an impact on people. It does galvanize them. It's like what I said. It's like, oh, all these people are saying, these people or that people are in charge. And it's hard to refute them when there's a literal law getting passed right now that's going to restrict our First Amendment rights. So, of course, what's up, Frank says, let the comedy begin. Humor is indeed a great way to combat hate. Sneeko coming in there saying, well done.
So this is good, even if we disagree with what the Groyper-in-Chief says. I think we can all agree that everybody deserves to have their voice. Let's move on to our next story. President Trump receives a warm welcome as he delivers pizza to heroic New York firefighters after a long day of lawfare in New York City court. So this is cool because Trump is out there getting railroaded in court all day and still takes the time to go and deliver pizza, serving his community and the firefighters in his community. This is good optics. This is really good optics. Everybody loved him when he showed up. President Trump was warmly received by New York City's finest as he delivered a special treat to them following a long day in court. No matter how hard he's worked, he's still got time to shower the people with love. As Fox News reported, the 45th president spent most of his day cooped up inside a Manhattan courtroom to witness testimony and cross-examination regarding his bogus criminal charges against him. Corrupt Judge Juan Merchan also heard arguments from prosecutors and Trump's defense team on whether Trump violated the unconstitutional gag order imposed upon him. Media outlets captured footage of Trump hand-delivering pizzas and posing for photos along the firefighters. This visit lasted roughly 10 minutes, and Trump did not address the media afterward. Look how thrilled the firefighters are to see a man taking time to honor them. Compare this to the so-called, quote, president, the resident of the White House, who regularly spits on those who serve. Let's take a look at this. This is so cool, man. I love that Trump does stuff like this. He's getting railroaded, getting pushed around and abused all day. And instead of, going and drinking or doing, and Trump doesn't drink, but instead of being negative or anything, it just rolls right off of his back, and he is out here delivering pizzas to the firefighters.
Just outside of a fire station after leaving court, he's got pizza for the guys. This is typical Trump. Let's poke in and see what he's up to right there. Joe Biden. He can walk up to a firehouse, a police station. He can walk into a boardroom, a bowling alley, or a
everybody's
bar
smiling.
And have a conversation with absolutely anybody. We don't have any audio on him right now, but apparently he's going inside to talk to these firefighters, which is, by the way, right outside the studio, folks. This is incredible.
Right,
the fact that he leaves court, goes and campaigns with these people, and it goes in campaigns with ordinary
I try to do
people,
that.
not high-dollar fundraisers with Lizzo like Joe Biden did recently.
Boom, boom. So this is great optics. This is Trump in his element in New York. These are his people. They know, they remember before the, especially the firefighters and everything. He was there on 9/11, bringing his own crew to help out, doing all kinds of stuff. Firefighters know that Trump has their back. As always, Fox News notes this was the same fire department Trump visited in 2021 to commemorate the 20th anniversary of the 9/11 attacks. Which, I don't know if you guys remember, but Trump said that it had to have been bombs back in the day. One of the original 9/11 truthers. Pretty impressive. Being somebody involved with construction, he knows that it's physically impossible for the 30 upper floors of a building to just fall directly through the support structure that's held them for decades, with zero resistance at virtually free fall speed without some type of explosive intervention to eliminate the resistance. Like if I'm going to try to go through the door over there, right, I have to open the door and then walk through it. Otherwise, the door will at least slow me down, even if I'm able to like plow through it and bust my way through it, which I totally could. It's just a regular old wooden door, and I've got the body checking experience. It would at least slow me down, and that's what would happen with the floors in the trade centers as well. They wouldn't just free fall speed straight through the path of most resistance. If it was a natural collapse and structural stability had been damaged up by the 90th floor, the top would tip. The top would tip over. It wouldn't fall right through the path of most resistance. So Trump knew that. Said it had to have been bombs. I don't remember the exact quote. But look at this. Let's check out this video too. He's signing their guest book, telling them how much he loves them.
We got to give him a good signature now, right?
Oh, yeah.
Come here, man.
The whole thing.
Booyah. Love it. Love it. Tours the facility. Goes and hangs out with all the crew. All the firefighters were happy to see them. There was a great picture that came out as well from it with them all lined up. I think it was probably moments after this. They're all lined up. Everybody's beaming and smiling. Great optics. Great optics as opposed to Joe Biden, who has constant terrible optics. What a mess. Joe Biden lies about the economy and reads teleprompter instructions out loud in North Carolina speech. It should be, again, reads teleprompter instructions out loud again in North Carolina speech, because we just saw him a couple days ago saying, 4 more years, pause. Oh, and then he froze for 4 seconds. 4 seconds. So Thursday, he traveled to Wilmington, North Carolina. That's Greg Foreman territory, to deliver remarks on his, quote, investing in America agenda. Biden's economy is a total dumpster fire, as we know. This is also Christina Layla who wrote this article, just so you guys know. Americans are suffering because of persistent inflation. That's one way to put it. Chronic unemployment / underemployment, which is all misreported by cooking the books in the federal numbers. Soaring gas prices and high mortgage rates. Did you guys see Pelosi the other day saying, well, Trump has the worst job record, job loss of any president? And even the MSNBC interviewer is like, it was a global pandemic, lady. And she's like, Trump had the worst, the worst job numbers. Even the Young Turks were defending Trump for that. Crazy. Well, at least Anna was. Cenk was like, well, I didn't care that she said that. I just more cared about Pelosi maligning the interviewer as being a Trump apologist, which obviously is bogus. Nobody at MSNBC is a Trump apologist. Give me a break. So Cenk is a Deutsch bag, a Deutsche Bank, Deutschmark, Deutsch bag. I try very hard not to see Pelosi. Yeah, I feel you, Mom Mac. And if you do see Pelosi, you better have a hurl cam ready and something to spew into.
You're gonna spew. Spew into this.
Spew into that, right? What a ghoulish creature she is. Pelosi equals louse. Yeah, definitely. We needed a good delousing. Piglosi, that's a good one too, cowgirl. Piglosi is a dumbass. Shout out to everybody that's hanging out over in the chat. Cowgirl, Threeper, Mama Mac. Unique Prepping, Z-Man. Oh yeah, I got to add you as a mod in Discord. I haven't really had time to jump on Discord yet today. As Threeper can attest, he sent me a bunch of quotes and I picked one out like a minute before we went live. Crypto, I see you over there. D. Bergfeld. Hopefully you got the stream working, D. Thanks everybody for hanging out. I love all you guys. Just like 3% said, tell the people you love them. Right? So Biden is just falling apart over here. As usual, speech was total disaster, slurred through his short remarks, lied about the economy, read the teleprompter instructions out loud again. Let's check out some clips.
And guess what? The plan we put in place is beginning to work. We've created a record 15 million jobs since I came to office.
How many of those were pandemic recovery, and how many are government jobs, and how many are people having to work 2 jobs because they can't afford to live? These numbers are totally cooked. It's a manipulation. Alicia! What's up, Alicia? Hope you are having a good Friday.
More than any president has 15 million.
More than any president. Yeah, after you guys shut down the economy and caused an incalculable number of job losses during the pandemic. So most of those are just people getting jobs that they lost, which doesn't really count as economic growth. It's just restoring jobs that existed before, except now, instead of having a beautiful selection of private companies, everybody's working for the big companies because the pandemic was used to centralize and buy up competition market-wide. So yeah, Joe Biden just completely misrepresenting everything as usual.
Referred to as PFAS, P-FAS-.
reading the teleprompter again, reading the dashes. Oh my God, this guy's such a joke. Oh, this is interesting. He does this. This is something that he does all the time. The don't jump thing. Watch this. Watch this. So weird. So weird. I didn't even hear the don't jump thing, but he says it all the time. Look at this. We got don't jump. Biden tells reporters on Grand Canyon visit. Don't jump. Presidential candidate Joe Biden yells to people over there. He's been all over the place shouting this. What's up with all these compilations of U.S. President Joe Biden shouting don't jump, seemingly without context? Well, I'll tell you what it is. It's him subliminally describing exactly what the fuck. Did you try pinching and zooming, Ed? Damn, man. So frustrating. But the whole don't jump thing. Remember the other day he confessed on Howard Stern that he considered jumping off the Baltimore Memorial Bridge or Delaware Memorial Bridge, whatever it is. And so I think that that this is him like revealing, like, you know, like whenever he's feeling stressed out or whatever, he goes, "Don't jump," referencing his own. It's like his motivational thing. He's telling himself, "Don't jump," and he's telling other people, "Don't jump," because this is a personal struggle of his where he considered jumping off that bridge. We need to just start, people at Joe Biden events. We need to have people from the right go to Joe Biden events and start chanting, "Jump, jump, jump." Oh, man, that'd be hilarious. So, yeah, this is this weird recurring phenomenon thing. But after the Howard Stern show where he admitted to having, considered jumping, this is clearly what he's referencing. It's like a subliminal thing because this is part of his innate psychology. It's like a Freudian thing where he keeps saying, "Don't jump, don't jump." Oh, I considered jumping, you know what I mean? Like, pretty crazy. So yeah, people on the right need to start going to Joe Biden events. We'll be the only ones there. You'll be able to dominate the crowd and control the chants and just start chanting, "Jump, jump, jump." Oh, man. So yeah, Joe Biden slurring, reading the teleprompter dashes, again, unable to distinguish between instructions on the teleprompter and things that he's supposed to read, which is not a good sign. It's very bad optics, as usual. Let's move on to our next story. We got more Jack Smith information coming out with the corrupt special prosecutor who may not have been even legally made a special prosecutor. Three per what? Which half shadow are you talking about? When I jump? Oh, I'm way back in the chat. Must have been talking about the lighting situation. Go on and jump. Man, David Lee Roth, one of my favorite vocalists. I just think he's got a great voice. Him and Russell Allen from Symphony X, the best. Dude from Bad Company, also a really cool voice. All right, continuing. It was all a setup. Newly unsealed docs revealed Jack Smith's top prosecutor met with top Biden aide before any classified docs were found at Mar-a-Lago. So we have Fani Willis going to the White House with her little boy toy, Nathan Wade, right? They both went to the White House, as far as I know. We have Michael Colangelo being sent from the Biden DOJ to spearhead the operation at Alvin Bragg's office with the whole New York situation. And now we have unsealed docs saying that Jack Smith's top prosecutor met with the top Biden aide. All of these persecutions against President Trump are being coordinated from the White House. That's the takeaway here. Newly unsealed documents in Jack Smith's classified documents case against Trump further prove Biden's DOJ set up Trump. The unsealed motion reveals Jack Smith's top prosecutor, Jay Bratt, met with a top Biden aide in September 2021 before any classified documents were discovered at Mar-a-Lago. Bratt met with an aide to Biden's White House Chief of Staff, Ron Klain, in September 2021. Per Julie Kelly, Jay Bratt, who led investigation into classified docs, then moved to Jack Smith's team after he was appointed, met with top aide to White House Chief of Staff Ron Klain in September 2021. Boom! Before any classified documents were discovered. In the newly unsealed motion, we have a screenshot here. On September 20th, 2021, Jay Bratt personally met with Catherine Riley, an advisor to the White House Chief of Staff. So we're giving you a little heads up on what the plan is. We're going to launch a legal pincer attack from all sides to try to drain Trump of financial liquidity and wreck his credibility with dozens and dozens of felony charges. So we're going to have you work with this guy on this classified docs case. We haven't started it yet, but we're going to be taking docs from the whatever organization it was, bringing them down to Mar-a-Lago, planting them, etc. That's my guess of what happened. And then the second type thing, on November 8th, 2021, Bratt met with Caroline Saba, a deputy chief of staff for the White House's counsel's office. So these are all centrally coordinated prosecutions, in my opinion. Allegedly, of course, Julie Kelly continues, this is at the same time NARA officials, including archivist David Ferrero and general counsel Gary Stern, also met with White House officials, including Dana Remus and Jonathan Sue. So they're getting the prosecutors ready, preparing them for what's about to go down and launch. And they're meeting with NARA, saying, we're about to do this. We need you guys' help. We're going to have you be involved with the FBI raiding Mar-a-Lago. This is a takedown operation. From the Bad Company by Bad Company on the album Bad Company. Bad Company, I can't deny. So good. So good. I like the song Burnin' Sky by Bad Company. That's my favorite. Awesome band. There's a movie with Christopher Walken, who it was like a modern kind of weird version of Macbeth, and the entire is called something Pennsylvania. I can't remember at this exact moment, but the entire soundtrack was all Bad Company. Really good. Anyway, so here we have the White House coordinating with NARA in preparation for this whole takedown operation. White House continues to block Remus and Riley from testifying to House about role in covering up Biden's own possession of classified docs, as well as presumably their involvement in working with NARA on the initial destruction of documents case against Trump. For example, since May 2023, the committee has requested that the former White House counsel Dana Remus sit for an interview and subsequently a deposition subject to a subpoena before the committee regarding President Biden's mishandling of classified materials in his home and D.C. office, materials that include information regarding countries in which his family made millions through influence peddling. The White House has prevented Ms. Remus from providing testimony to the committee and has prevented additional White House personnel, Annie Tomasini, Anthony Bernal, Catherine Riley, and Ashley Williams from providing testimony to the committee regarding this matter. Dragon Lady posts in response, I pray this judge comes down hard and files violations against these people. Someone needs to pay. Chief 5 saying Biden's personal Gestapo at work. Speaking of Gestapo, we've got an update on the story about the Dolton, Illinois ghetto Gestapo wielding mayor, the super mayor, Tiffany Henyard, which is pretty wild too. She's under investigation by the FBI. The walls are closing in for real in this case, which is hilarious. Oh, Red Crypto, you don't know Bad Company? That's right. You're like 20 before your time. Really good band. Let's see. What do we got next? Ooh, this is a crazy story. A mixture of crazy stories over here. New anti-Semitism legislation makes sections of the Bible illegal. Crazy, 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 crazy. We're over here at We Are Changed with Luke Radowski. And this is his video talking about Candace Owens potentially secretly being gagged and redacted. And we're going to hop to 9:45 where he talks about the new anti-Semitism legislation. So we talked previously about how the 2020 BLM Antifa riots may have been used to establish a precedent of lawlessness in the country. And this new legislation may be used to set a precedent cracking down against anti-Semitism. For what purpose? Why is this happening? Is this Zionists locking down control over the U.S. government? It seems like kind of a coup against the Constitution by a specific group of people putting themselves above the law and beyond reproach to me. Let's check out this video here. I'm sure that Mr. Fuentes, Senor Nick, will have something to say about this when he gets back on X. I'm on the wrong page here, aren't I? Sorry. Let me rewind a second here.
This
all right, here we go.
There's now counter protests being met with the original protesters, as a lot of people are voicing their concerns for what they view as hatred for one another. Hatred and division that is being sown, that is growing, that is becoming more and more real, as it's important to know that this will only grow with the larger actions of the U.S. government as the Senate and the House of Representatives voted on restricting
on the wrong page,
First
Trooper.
Amendment inside of the United States, specifically also on college campuses, as there now is new legislation that has been voted upon and agreed by your politicians that would literally make parts of the Bible illegal. Yes.
Crazy. So yeah, uncomfortable silence. I had a video playing that I was hearing, but I forgot to actually show it to you guys. So, I take a day off and everything's all discombobulated.
You heard that correctly. This is even Tucker Carlson mentioning it as he is responding to Charlie Kirk, who said, "Did the House of Representatives just make parts of the Bible illegal?" Tucker Carlson responded by saying, "Yes, the New Testament."
Mama Mac, it's going to have that same pushback, right? They were talking about Nick Fuentes. Well, maybe being censored so much and banned from everything further radicalized him in his position that there's a secret Zionist cabal running everything. This anti-Semitism legislation will probably have the same effect on a lot of people, radicalizing them to think that maybe there's some truth to those rumors. That's my bet. Kind of like BLM and everything radicalized the racial situation between everybody as well.
And he's not lying here, as even Matt Walsh, one of the few outliners at the Daily Wire, who of course is willing to speak out against.
It's like they're trying to push DEI to help people allegedly in the diverse crowds. But it's sowing seeds of resentment by giving an unfair advantage. Same thing could be argued about Nick Fuentes being banned. Same thing could be argued about this anti-Semitism legislation. It could have the same type of radicalization on a large scale.
Carlson responded by saying, yes, the New Testament, and he's not lying here, as even Matt Walsh, one of the few outliners at the Daily Wire, who, of course, is willing to speak out against a lot of these key critical issues, just said that the vast majority of Republicans just voted for a bill to criminalize criticism of the government in the Middle East that you cannot criticize or even mention in some places on social media. This, as these are new, quote, hate speech laws that only apply to specific religious individuals, as Matt Walsh called this piece of legislation the, quote, most insane piece of legislation I have ever seen. So people who question this state in the Middle East, people who compare it to other countries and their democratic procedures that they don't follow, and they point that out, are also in trouble. any symbols or images that could be even closely associated with allegedly hatred of these people and this country is now soon going to be outlawed by the federal government, as there are very vague laws here that could be interpreted in many different ways, as of course stereotyping against these people in that country in the Middle East and criticizing their power structures and criticizing their influence is soon going to be illegal. As Thomas Macy says, quote, should people in America be prosecuted for saying these things in all context? I think not. This is a poorly conceived, unconstitutional bill, and I will vote no. MTG also says that she is going to be voting no on this law. Matt Gaetz, another real one in Congress, said he is also going to be voting against what he calls a ridiculous hate speech bill that, quote, is written regard for the Constitution, common sense, in the House, or even the common understanding of the meaning of words. As he goes on and says, quote, the gospel itself would meet the definition.
The definition of anti-Semitism is not even clear. We've got people like, you know, that crazy rabbi that was debating Candace Owens. You know, words have definitions. There's etymological reasons for the parts of different words. Anti-Semitism, you know, being against Semitism. It's simple. You don't need to add all kinds of other stuff into the definition to expand it or whatever, like racism. Being racist, you know, being prejudiced against a group of people because of their race. And then you have idiots adding in extra qualifiers like, oh, well, racism, you know, it's not just hating people because of their race. You also have to have an element of power in there. Remember, like we talked about the racism, prejudice plus power equals racism, the modification of words for their own political benefit. This is the same type of thing happening here. They're changing the definition of words on the fly. They're muddying the waters, and they're legislating based on nebulous terminology that's not even well defined at this point. This is bananas.
Of the meaning of words. As he goes on and says, quote, the gospel itself would meet the definition of hate speech under terms of this bill.
And this is Matt Gaetz saying the gospel itself would meet the definition of anti-Semitism under the terms of this bill. It's bananas.
That would find people prosecuted for it. As this bill is likely to, of course, be made law in the United States.
Let's go back here. The bill says the definition of anti-Semitism includes, quote, contemporary examples of anti-Semitism identified by the International Holocaust Remembrance Alliance, IHRA. One of those examples includes claims of Jews killing Jesus. Oh, my God. The Bible is clear. Matt Gaetz says, there is no myth or controversy on this, therefore I will not support this bill. Right? It seems pretty self-explanatory. So yeah, this is pure evil. As always, a blatant infringement on the First Amendment, violating everybody's rights to religious freedom.
It's pure evil!
Under Marbury versus Madison, any law repugnant to the Constitution is null and void. So this is bunk right off the jump. It's unenforceable. It's illegal. Do not comply. And it's going to cause this type of speech. It's going to have the Streisand effect, you know, where Barbara Streisand was like, everybody stop taking pictures of my house. And then when she said that, everybody was like, oh, why are people taking pictures of her house? Well, maybe we need to go take pictures. Everybody started taking pictures of her house, saying, stop criticizing, this group of people. It's going to cause people to be like, well, why are they saying stop criticizing this group of people? Maybe I need to investigate it. It's only going to have the opposite effect. These people are idiots. You know, and then if they start arresting people or locking people up because of it, it's only going to make it worse. Is this intentional? It's too stupid to be stupid. You know what I mean? In addition to being 100% evil. Of course. Let's jump on to our next topic. Right at the end of this video, actually, he talks about it. This is crazy. We have another Boeing whistleblower. Oh, where is it? Somewhere in this video. We have another Boeing whistleblower who's turned up dead, which is crazy. Got another article about it, but I thought he talked about it in this video somewhere. Maybe just touched on it briefly. I forgot to write down the spot in the video. Oh, well. Second whistleblower linked to Boeing dies of Sudden illness. He died suddenly. This could be one or two different potential things here. Either it's a conspiracy or it's a a thing we can't talk about on YouTube. It's climate change. Right? Jim Hoft, writing this article at the Gateway Pundit. Another whistleblower connected to Boeing has tragically passed away. Joshua Dean, a former quality editor at Boeing supplier Spirit Aerosystems, died early Tuesday morning after battling a sudden, rapid infection. Turbo cancer type stuff are we talking about here? Natron, what's up, dude? Good to see you, and thanks for the Rumble rant, brother. Boom, back at you. Appreciate you guys. Natron in the house. Buck, yeah, hope you're having a good Friday, bro. And thanks for joining us. So this was the Seattle Times reporting this. Let's hop over there real quick. Take a look. Whistleblower Josh Dean of Boeing supplier Spirit Aerosystems has died. What do you know? What are the odds? Are you guys surprised by this? Imagine my shock. I need to get that Paul Joseph Watson clip to play for things that are definitely not surprising. Dominic Gates, Lauren Rosenblatt authored this article. Joshua Dean, a former quality auditor at Boeing supplier Spirit Aerosystems and one of the first whistleblowers to allege Spirit leadership had ignored manufacturing defects on the 737 MAX, died Tuesday morning after a struggle with a sudden, fast-spreading infection. Awful convenient for Boeing. Multiple whistleblowers eliminated. Yeah, hopefully nobody unalives me, Mama Mac. They have to get through a wall of firepower, potentially, theoretically, in Minecraft, of course. Known as Josh, Dean lived in Wichita, Kansas, where Spirit is based. He was 45 and had been in good health and was noted for having a healthy lifestyle. He died 2 weeks. After 2 weeks in critical condition, his aunt Carol Parsons said. Spirit spokesperson Joe Buccino said, quote, "Our thoughts are with Josh Dean's family. The sudden loss is stunning news here and for his loved ones." And of course, since he was whistleblowing on your company, Joe Buccino, who you're a spokesperson of, you're probably happy about this. Threeper with the Loki treats fun. Thanks, bro. Appreciate you as well. Thanks for everything. Boom. You guys rock. You guys rock. Loki will be super happy. There'll be extra peanuts. Peanuts and papaya for her. Dean had given a deposition in a Spirit shareholder lawsuit, also filed a complaint with the Federal Aviation Administration alleging serious and gross misconduct by senior quality management of the 737 production line at Spirit. So Spirit's over there like, our thoughts are with the family of Josh Dean. It's so sad, the sudden loss. These people, man. What do you think? What are the odds that there's a conspiracy going on with all these Boeing whistleblowers dropping dead? Mama Mac, our puppy has nearly doubled in size in just 5 days. He's going to be huge. He's going to be the hugest puppy, the biggest puppy we've ever seen. Everybody agrees. Mama Mac. Classic. Keep us updated with pictures in the Discord. That's right. We also have a Discord community. Link in the description of the video. I need to add something to remind myself to mention that for you guys. All of the censored commoners hang out on the Discord, share information, share stories, personal stories, news stories, music, culture. There's a documentaries and resources section. Link is in the description for you guys to join. It's free. You can all come hang out. There's voice chat. There's everything. There's, everything down to people sharing pictures of their pets. Got a good community over there. Feel free to join. It's the Information Relay Outpost / Barracks for Operation Victory 24, our information warfare operation against the New World Order in favor of independence and individual liberty. The Discord can act as a force multiplier to help distribute and spread relevant and important information. So join up today. Link in the description. It's the Common Censored Think Tank Brain Bank. Be a part of it. To quote Ron Paul's campaign slogan from back in the day, be a part of it. Parsons said Dean became ill and went to the hospital because he was having trouble breathing just over 2 weeks ago. He was intubated, which means they put a tube down his throat into his lungs to help him breathe, and developed pneumonia, then a serious bacterial infection, MRSA. Ooh. And that's intubation, like with the ventilators during the COVID scamdemic, was theoretically, allegedly used to give people pneumonia so that these hospitals could get paid for the casualties, which we talked about yesterday. Tom Renz representing clients, talking about hospital killing floors and everything. Super insane. Natron, when I hear whistleblower, instantly the Too Short song, Blow the Whistle, pops in my head and I twerk on cop cars. Just kidding. But I do like the song. Too Short. Man, I don't even know if I know any Too Short. I know who he is. Rapper from like the 90s. But I can't think of any song. I remember I signed up for one of those like BMG or one of those CD things where you sign up and you get like 10 CDs and everything, and they sent me Too Short, and I was like, who is this? Never heard of it before receiving the album in the mail. Anyway, Dean's condition deteriorated rapidly, and he was airlifted from Wichita to a hospital in Oklahoma City, OKC. Shout out to Sam Duty. There, he was put on an ECMO machine, which circulates and oxygenates a patient's blood outside the body, taking over heart and lung function when a patient's organs don't work on their own. If you get to that point, it's not looking good, unfortunately. His mother posted a message Friday on Facebook relating all those details and saying that Dean was fighting for his life. Sadly, he has indeed passed away. A CT scan indicated he'd suffered a stroke. He was heavily sedated, put on dialysis. Dialysis, you know what that makes me think of every time I hear it? It was Osama bin Laden, who had Marfan syndrome and needed dialysis. And what are the odds? How long do you think Osama bin Laden could survive in a cave when he needs dialysis? A lot of people, like Steve Pachenik, had reported that bin Laden was dead by the end of 2001, and was, they kept him on ice, metaphorically speaking, so that they could roll out killing bin Laden at a politically expedient moment. And what do you know, right when Obama, I think, was losing support, they rolled out the bin Laden raid, which seems to be a fabrication. Yeah, dialysis in a cave for years, Threeper, exactly. And so they dumped the body at sea to get rid of the evidence so that it couldn't be disproven, and they used the bin Laden mythology, basically, to bolster support for Obama, I believe, at that period in time. And then, shortly after that, after the SEALs Team 6 raid on the compound that bin Laden was allegedly in, what do you know? Helicopter crash event kills basically the entire Team 6, so they couldn't blow the whistle on the fraud, in my opinion. And there's a book, The Terminal List, which was turned into a TV series on Amazon by Jack Carr, 20-year SEAL commander and sniper. He had an interesting similar plot point in his story, with a helicopter being taken down to murder SEALs who knew too much. I think that element of his story was based on the bin Laden raid and SEAL Team 6 being taken out after that so that they couldn't reveal the truth. And if you read The Terminal List by Jack Carr, everything in that book has a real-life analog. It's like he took all these real events and encoded them into his book. Really good book. One of my favorite books. If you read the prologue, you'll be hooked after the prologue. I virtually guarantee it. Anyway, this Boeing whistleblower has sadly passed away. We got to move on over to our next story, which is the big one. The big one. Drama! Daily Wire. Sorry, did I say Daily Wire? I meant Israeli Wire, or Gayly Wire, secretly obtains gag order against Candace Owens amidst her public feud with Ben Shapiro. So publicly, they're like, oh, Candace won't debate. When they know she's in Europe and can't make it back to I'm reading comments, to debate Ben, and then Candace is like, well, let's, pick a time and a place that works for everybody. Jeremy Boring concedes to the terms, no arbiter, independent, neutral platform, etc. Candace is like, yes, this is a win, right? Thank you for accepting the terms. This is a big win for us. And then behind the scenes, they're allegedly getting a gag order against Candace so that she can't talk, because they know they have the truth isn't on their side, that they know their positions are ridiculous. They know they're using the ever nebulous shifting definition of anti-Semitism. And they know that Candace would destroy them in a debate, pointing out their hypocrisy and their philosophical inconsistency and their America not first nonsense positions. Like Threeper's quote, it's charity if it's voluntary, but they're advocating enslaving the U.S. taxpayer to send our hard-earned money over to Israel and Ukraine and all these other places. Candace would have destroyed Israeli Wire, and they knew it. So they had to go behind the scenes and try to get a gag order with a third party arbiter. The Daily Wire secretly obtained a gag order against Candace Owens amidst her public feud with Ben Shapiro, according to documents obtained by Glenn Greenwald. Earlier this month, Candace Owens challenged Daily Wire's co-founder Ben Shapiro to debate about Israel just 2 weeks after she parted ways from the news outlet. Glenn Greenwald is a Pulitzer Prize winner. Anomaly, who is, yeah, look, here he is. Anomaly was heaping praise upon Glenn Greenwald for being honest and accurately reporting, even if he disagrees with some of his positions. I was listening to Anomaly's take on this yesterday when I was driving to Ancient Aliens, and he was saying, I'm not impressed by journalists for the most part, but I am impressed by Glenn Greenwald. And then you have Tim Pool over there on Timcast starting to read the article and defending Daily Wire. Oh, well, I disagree with with Glenn Greenwald's analysis of why Candace was fired. It's like, okay, well, that doesn't matter, because this isn't about the reason Candace was fired. And Tim's over there diverting the conversation into Glenn having a bad take about why she was fired. Well, did they get a gag order or did they not? That's what it's about. Of course, Tim is basically butt buddies with Daily Wire over there. I remember him squirming in his seat with excitement a couple of years ago when they decided to work on a project together. He was so excited. He went over and did a live show at the Daily Wire with their studio, and he was like, he thought he made it to the big time, to the big leagues with Big Con, And so no surprise to see him bending over backward to defend Ben Shapiro and the Daily Wire, because he wants it. He wants to be a part of that whole thing and to be friends with them. That's my take, at least. I was not surprised at all. Earlier this month, obviously, Candace challenged Shapiro to the debate. Big debate, Anomaly, or posting here, Andrew Schultz realizing Ben only can debate college kids. Obviously, you guys remember that. Publicly, Daily Wire saying, well, we tried to make this debate happen. Well, privately, trying to prevent the debate from happening. Crazy. So the debate never happened, and it isn't because Candace didn't show up. She was gagged, according to Glenn Greenwald, but the debate was never going to happen. This is quoting Glenn Greenwald's article posted on his blog, on Substack, on Locals, sorry. As the Daily Wire publicly negotiated a debate with Candace Owens, secretly it sought and obtained a gag order against her due to a prior restraint order against Owens. The much anticipated Israel debate with Ben Shapiro appears to be off. Prior restraint, totally unconstitutional concept. Gag orders are supposed to be very rarely used and only under extreme circumstances. Yeah, that's right, Threeper. I saw that comment the other day. As Threeper said earlier, Jeremy Boring is a tycoon, and he's acting like a tycoon. Left or right is not a matter here. Right. And like Crowder exposed them, doing tycoon type stuff with shitty contracts, taking advantage of people instead of providing mutually beneficial, fair contracts. Of course, that's all subjective, but like Crowder pointed out, even though, my faith in Crowder, or not faith, but my respect for Crowder is on shaky ground. He pointed out that Big Con, that Daily Wire is offering traditional contracts, basically these terrible industry style contracts that are very one-sided. I prefer like a profit sharing mode of contracting where people are incentivized to do better work by giving them a portion of profits derived from their work, etc. You guys know how I feel about that. We've talked about it before, but let's continue the article here. The debate was never going to happen. That's because the Daily Wire, in secret and unbeknownst to its readers, sought a gag order to be placed on Owens after she had called for a debate. They did this under the cover of secrecy before a private arbitrator, and at exactly the same time that they were claiming in public they wanted the debate and were even negotiating terms with her. This is so dirty, man. These people are trash. Just another example of these guys being trash. All right, I think we got to ditch the tube at this point. Ed, I'm so sorry, man. I'm so sorry. It sucks. I don't know what's going on with Rumble. All I do from my end is just plug in the stream key and the password basically to do it. I don't have any control over the Rumble site settings from my end. So I don't know what's going on. But we got to ditch YouTube, unfortunately. So here, posting the link to Rumble in the comments on YouTube and on Facebook. Hopefully you guys can come on over to Rumble and join us where the water is warm, where we can speak freely, where we're relegated off the mainstream and down into the sewers of alt tech to live in the shadows. But at least we all float down here, right? So, all right. Sorry to ditch you guys on YouTube if you can't make it. We'll be back on Monday. Until then, ooh.